Hi, here's some lovely tips for holiday stress with me, Joanna Hunter. Holidays can be a wonderful time with family and friends and lots of amazing memories. But for many people, they don't experience this. What they experience is massive amounts of stress. Some people experience extreme loneliness during this time. And there's so much unseen pressure to just get that day so right and to spend a lot of money and to do a lot of things that maybe you ordinarily wouldn't do. So it's very easy during this time to forget positive thinking. And of course, as we forget our positive thinking, we might begin to think negatively. And as we begin to think negatively, our amazing bodies begin to immediately produce the chemical response for that, which is the stressor chemicals. And of course, our system is starting to be flooded with stress. And that doesn't have a very good effect on the body because the stressor chemicals are really meant for fight or flight. Now, you're not really going to need a lot of fight or flight when you're making a turkey or when you've got 10 people coming for dinner. So how do we combat this holiday stress? So I've got some really wonderful tips for you that I wanted to share with you, and just to help to make the holidays a little bit easier and a little bit less stressful, and hopefully have a little bit more of the peace, love, and joy. So this is take 5 with Joanna Hunter, that's me. So these are 5 tips that I'm going to share with you. The first one is never make permanent decisions on temporary emotions. And this is a really, really great tip because remember, everything really in this world often tends to be temporary. So even though that the pressure might be high and even though that it might be, full on at home, just take 5 minutes, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and realize, do I really need to make a permanent decision on something, on a temporary emotion? And of course, the answer is no. So just take that 5 minutes to yourself. Doesn't matter what you do, whether you have to lock yourself in the bathroom to get away from the screaming children or the family members or friends or whatever it is. Just take those 5 minutes to yourself, in through your nose and out through your mouth, and center your breath again. And know that don't make full decisions on temporary emotions, and just get in control there again and step into that. The next tip that I have for you is to write lists. I'm a prolific list writer. And I find that having a list or having lists will help to reduce my stress. So if I know if it's all jumbling around in my head, I can very easily become overwhelmed and stressed and think, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do. But if I write it down in a list, yes, it's still the same amount of stuff, but somehow seeing it in black and white in an order makes it a lot easier to tackle. And I know that I'm but just one person and that I just have to tackle those jobs on that list systematically. And so my second tip is to make a list and to get all of that jumble, all of that stress out of your head onto a page and onto a piece of paper, so that it makes it a lot easier for you to see what actually needs to be achieved, what actually is that you need to do, and you can just start to tick off each job in an orderly fashion instead of trying to do it all at once and getting really strung out and really stressed out by it. Tip number 3 is to breathe. When we're stressed, we tend to shallow breathe. So we take short little breaths instead of long, deep ones. And another feature of shallow breathing, it causes our mouths to get very dry. So here's a really cool hack, and I have a little confession here. I am absolutely terrified of the dentist. And I work a lot with people's phobias and I work a lot with people's fears. And I thought, really, I've got this fear of going to the dentist, and who would I be? I wouldn't be walking my talk if I didn't go out and help people with if I went out and helped people with their fears, but I didn't do anything about my own fear. So I began working with my own fear, and I started looking at my fear in a very systematic way. And I discovered, obviously, as soon as the whiff of a dentist or a mention of going to the dentist, I would get dry mouth and I would begin to shallow breathe. And so I realized that that was one of my first stress responses to something that I didn't like. And if you cause your mouth to put more saliva in your mouth, that sounds gross, but put more saliva in your mouth, it kind of overrides the stress that's happening, because stress happens in the body in an orderly fashion. So first you might notice tense muscles, and then you might notice that your mouth goes dry, and you might notice that you're shallow breathing, and then it keeps going from there, and there's a continuous response, and each response triggers the next response. So one of the things that I use is I purposely breathe deeply. That immediately tells my body that, oh, I'm not in stress. I'm breathing deeply. That means I'm not in stress. I put more saliva into my mouth so that my mouth doesn't feel dry. And again, my body's going, oh, her mouth is not dry. I don't need to trigger the next stage of this kind of stress meltdown. And so sometimes it's just becoming aware of what's happening in your body to kind of cut down on the stress continuing and building, because stress builds. You don't just wake up immediately stressed. It's built up after a short a period of time. So that's my next tip. My tip after that is gratitude. Gratitude is one of my go-to tools. It's the tool that shifted my life and made my life, just literally transformed my life. I am literally so grateful for the attitude of gratitude. And if you just take a few minutes, grab yourself a cup of tea, you know what? None of that stress is going to go anywhere, or none of that stuff's going to go anywhere. It's all going to be waiting there for you to get back to after you've taken a 5-10 minute break with a cup of tea in your hand. So make yourself a lovely cup of tea, sit down, get your notepad and pen again, and write 10 things that you're really, really grateful for. This will powerfully shift your thoughts into a much more grateful alignment. And breathe deeply as you're doing this. Relax, allow your shoulders to come away from your ears and relax back down at a more natural position, and breathe deeply. And the final tip that I have for you today as well is to stay in the now. A lot of stress, and especially anxiety, which is so common along with stress, is caused by this feeling very, very anxious. And the reason you feel very anxious is because your thoughts are all in the future. And of course, there's absolutely no power in the future, because the future has not been created yet, has not been made yet. If you're feeling very low and very depressed, it means that all your thoughts are in the past. And of course, yet again, you're powerless, because the past has already happened. So there's nothing that you can do to change it. And so everything, or all of your power that you have as a human being, is all in the present moment. That is a moment that you can truly change, and therefore that's where you become powerful. And when we have stress and we have anxiety or depression or any of those things, it means our thoughts are kind of time traveling, and we have to bring our thoughts back to that present moment. And a lovely way to bring your thoughts back into the present moment is, I use tea for this, and I love it. It's a really, really lovely practice. So if I'm taking my 5 minutes with my cup of tea, I could write my gratitude, and then afterwards I could hold my cup and allow that drinking of that tea to become a multi-sensory experience. So first I might notice the smell. I might notice the smell of the tea. With my eyes, I might notice the steam rising from the cup. With my hands wrapped around the I might begin to notice the heat coming from the cup. I allow all of my senses to be engaged in that present moment of just drinking the tea. As I lift the cup to my mouth and experience the flavour of the tea, I then allow that flavour to become a multisensory experience. And as I'm bringing all of my moments into that now point, I take away my energy that I have in the future, which is causing my anxiety, and I take away the energy that I have in my past that is causing my low feelings or depression. And I'm bringing all of those feelings into the now point, the point where I'm really truly powerful, and I begin to feel much more empowered as a result. So you have got tea and lists to make now, and hopefully this will reduce some of your holiday stress. And I just wish you a wonderful time of the year, and I hope that everything goes beautifully and smoothly, and that you have just a really, really enjoyable time with joy, love, and ease. If you've loved what you've heard, just sign up at joannahunter.com, and there's a sign up box there at the very, very top, or you can check out my blog as well at joannahunter.com. Thank you again for listening, and I will speak to you soon. Have great holidays. Bye.